afternoon. Welcome back to PWT Relies News with your host, Mosey Along. And today, unless we forget history, we are going to be talking about crowd size and why it matters to the president. We're looking at one of the most unusual political storylines of the modern era. The presidential obsession with crowd sizes. Crowd size has always mattered in politics. It's a symbol of momentum, enthusiasm, and legitimacy. But during the Trump years, crowd size became something more, a recurring flashpoint, a political narrative, and at times a national argument. The story begins on January 20th, 2017, Inauguration Day. Photographs from the National Mall showed a visibly smaller crowd than President Obama's 2009 inauguration, but the new administration insisted the opposite. The press secretary declared it, quote, the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, unquote. That moment set the tone. From that day forward, crowd size wasn't just a minor detail. It became a storyline. Over the next several years, the pattern repeated. At rallies across the country, the Prez regularly claimed record-breaking attendance, sometimes beyond the capacity at the venues themselves. Local officials, fire marshals, and reporters often provided different numbers, but the claims continued. Why does this matter? Because in politics, numbers aren't just numbers, they're symbols. And when leaders insist on their own version of reality, even when contradicted by evidence, it shapes public trust. It affects how people understand truth, authority, and accountability. One of the most striking examples came during the pandemic. Rally attendance was promoted as proof of strength, even as public health officials warned against large gatherings. In some cases, the press claimed tens of thousands were outside waiting to get in, while reporters on the ground only saw a small group. The crowd size narrative became a kind of political theater, a performance, a message. Shakespeare would have been proud. But here's the historical point. When leaders reshape facts to fit a story, the story eventually becomes more important than the facts. Uh-oh. And that's why we cover this unless we forget history. Not to mock, not to inflame, but to document and to remember, to understand how political narratives are built and how they influence public perception. Crowd sizes may seem trivial, but the insistence on inflated numbers reveals something deeper, a struggle over truth itself. And in a democracy, truth matters. The whole truth, nothing but the truth. For lest we forget, I'm Mosey Along, reminding you that history isn't just what happened. It's what we choose to remember. Stay awake, stay alert, and remember, things can change on a dime. That's why we need to remember. Let's not forget history.